Hi, it's Miss House. First, I'd like to apologize. I have a little bit of a cold, so I apologize if I cough or sniff during this short video on sign numbers. Here's what you need to know about sign numbers. If you have a number line and you put a 0 in the middle, it is customary for the positive numbers to go to the right, and as they go to the right, they get larger, and for the negative numbers to be on the left, and as you move to the left, they get smaller. So we'll compare sign numbers this way. So wherever the smaller number is, the point of the less than will point toward the smaller number, and the larger number will be on the open side. If you have this symbol, the larger number is on the left and the smaller number is on the right. So the key is that the point always goes toward the smaller number, okay? So this symbol is less than, and this symbol is greater than. And again, the farther to the left you are, the smaller your value. The farther to the right you are, the larger the value. So if you just think of the numbers along the number line, then it'll be easier to decide which one is larger or smaller. So a few examples. We have a number line here, and -10 is somewhere to the left, and +18 is over here. Well, that's pretty easy, right? -10 is definitely smaller than 18, so you put the point toward -10. So -10 is less than +18. Now this one's a little harder because we have first -11, and then farther to the left is -17. So remember, as you go to the left, they get smaller. So -17 is smaller than -11, so the point goes toward the -17. So -11 is greater than -17. 14 is bigger than 0. Well, here's 0, here's 14. The farther to the right, the larger the numbers get, so 14 is clearly greater than 0. Here we have a negative and a positive. The negative has to be less than a positive because your negative, no matter where it is, this is -0.3, so it's just barely past 0. And then 0.5 is halfway in right here, 0.5. But all that really matters is a negative is always going to be less than a positive because it's farther to the left. So -0.3 is less than 0.5. -14 1/4. Well, in order to compare that, I need to go ahead and do 1 divided by 4. 1/4 is 1 divided by 4. That's 0.25. So that's 14.25 and -14.4. Now let's make them have a common denominator by having the same number of places past the decimal point. Now as you move from 0, you're going to hit -14.25 first, and then -14.40. Think about this with money. When would you owe more? When would you be deeper in the hole? If you owe $14.40 or $14.25. So the $14.40 is the smaller one. So -14 1/4 is greater than -14.4. Always have the point of the symbol toward the smaller of the two numbers. Now we're going to plot on the number line, and in my math lab, all you're going to do is you're going to drag the point and see -6.2 is a -6.2, and you'll just drag the point to that spot. -6.9, well, it's not showing, but it's got to be right here because this would be -6.7. Negative 5.5 is negative 5.5, so it'd be halfway between negative 5.4 and negative 5.6. Negative 6.5 would be negative 6.5. Remember, a half is 0.5 if you divide that on your calculator. Now we've got to plot these. Negative 0.6 is going to be right here, because look, 0.5, negative 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, and then 1. Negative 2.5 is the same as negative 2.5. Negative 2.1, so we've got to count. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's a 0.1 right there, so negative 2.1. And negative 1 and 7/8. Let's think about that a little bit more. 7/8. So, okay, here's how we can think about it. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it's already divided in 8 parts, so it's this one right here. So there's your negative 1 and 7/8. Okay, represent with a sign number 5 degrees below 0. So think about a vertical number line like this is 0, and you're at 5 degrees below, so minus 5 degrees. A mountain rises 19,000 feet above sea level. So there, in science, we think of sea level kind of as our baseline, and then a mountain is up above, so that's going to be a positive 19,000. And we don't write the positive, and my math lab may or may not take it if you put a plus 19,000 there. Number 10, represent the following situation with a sign number 50 feet below the surface of the ocean. That's going to be a minus 50 because of the below. A loss of $8,000. That's going to be a minus 8,000. Overdrawn by 1710. That's a minus 1710. So these are all words that represent numbers that are less than 0. It rose 321. That's going to be a plus 321. Now we're going to do some applications, and we have to think about what direction we're going each time. In a city, the temperature stood at 16 degrees below 0, so minus 16. Over the next 5 hours, it went up by 4, so it's negative 16. Then it goes up by 4. Then it dropped 3, and it rose 7, and it dropped 2, and it dropped 4. Now we're just going to do this on the number line. Okay? So we're going to start at negative 16. We're going to go 4 to the right. 1, 2, 4. So negative 16, 15, 14, 13, negative 12. Now we're going to go 3 down, so back, go with a different color here. Negative 13, 14, 15, so we're at negative 15. Now we're going to go 7. Negative 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. So now we're at negative 8 degrees because we went from 15 and we went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we're going to go down by 2, so we're going back down by 2. That's going to put us at negative 10. And now we're going to go down by 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be at minus 14. Now, we can also do this by adding those on our calculator. I'm going to do them one at a time. This would give me a negative 12. That's these two. And then I've still got a minus 3, a plus 7, a minus 2, and a minus 4. So that would give me the minus 15, which is where I ended up right here. Then a plus 7, and a minus 2, and a minus 4. So then this would give me a minus 8, minus 2, minus 4. And if I do all those, minus 8, then down 2 more, then down 4, I'm down at negative 14. And again, my final answer is minus 14 degrees. And so if you write it out like that on the calculator, negative 16 plus 4 minus 3 plus 7 minus 2, minus 4. You can just use your calculator to find that answer. Number 15. An individual checking account contained $370 on June 1. Then the individual made the following transactions. Deposited $160, that's a plus. Withdrew $230, that's a minus. Withdrew $38 is a minus. Deposited, that's a plus. Withdrew, that's a minus. And deposited, that's a plus. So we started at $370, added $160, subtracted $230, subtracted $38, deposited $121, subtracted $368, and then added $750. And I'm certainly going to use my calculator to do this. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole thing on my calculator. So I've got 370 plus 160, subtract 230, subtract 38, add 121, subtract 368, and add 750, and this person ends up at $765 after all of that. Number 16. A struggling young company reported the following results for the 4 quarters of the year. Now, 4 quarters of the year means January through March, April through June, July through September, and then October, November, December. So this would be quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. So that's what they mean when they talk about the 4 quarters of the year. Here they lost $137,000. Then they lost $299,000. Then they finally made a profit of $101,000 and a profit of $84,000. So if we take all those, minus $137,000, minus $299,000, plus $101,000, plus $84,000. We end up with a loss, because it comes out negative, $251,000. So a loss of $251,000. Now, because the word loss is here, you're not going to type that negative. Even though it comes out negative, $251,000, they've put the word loss here. And so the loss, that means the negative already of $251,000. Number 17. What is the sum of the currents flowing into node N in the circuit? The sum flowing into N. So here's node N. And look, all of these are all flowing in. Okay? So we've got to add all these. We've got a 12.4. We've got a negative 6.1. We've got a negative 2.4. And a negative 3.9. So we take our 12.4, that's a positive, and we subtract 6.1, subtract 2.4, subtract 3.9, so let's see what I get. I think I'm getting 0, let's see. Yes, that comes out to 0. So all of this adds up to negative 12.4, and then you've got your positive 12.4, and so that's going to zero out. Number 18. Find the difference in altitude between a mountain that has an altitude of plus 4629, and a desert valley that is at minus 339. Now, you've got to be really careful here, because if you're not, you might add those together, but you got to think about this. Here's our mountain way up here. I'm just going to draw it. 4629. Here's our sea level, right? And then our valley, it's not really, the sea's not there, but it's below sea level. So that's basically where our number line is down here at negative 339. So what they want to know is the total difference from 4629 and minus 339. So it's 4629. Difference is minus a negative 339. So it actually turns out we have to add these two because we want to know all of this height here plus all of this here. And so that's going to end up being added 4629 plus 339 is 4968. 4968. Now, if you're not careful, you'll just subtract that off and you'll end up here somewhere. But we want to know this. They want to know this total height here along with here. What's the difference in that altitude? You have to go from that peak down to that valley, you have to go 49,068 feet. Number 19. Suppose a temperature of minus 120 was recorded in Antarctica and a temperature of 126 was recorded in the Sahara Desert. How many degrees warmer than 126 is 126 than 120? So it's a similar thing. Think of this as a thermometer. Okay? So here's our thermometer and here's our zero. This Sahara's hot, 126 degrees way up here. And Antarctica is way down here, minus 120. So what's this total distance here? It's 126 minus negative 120. So that's 126 plus 120. We want that total there. That's 246 degrees difference. So you have to go up 246 degrees to get to that 126 if you start at minus 120. Because you have to go all of this 120 and then all of this. Number 20. At 8 p.m., the temperature in the city was at minus 4, but at 4 a.m., it was at minus 30. How many degrees did the temperature drop? So I'm going to do it by drawing a thermometer again. All right, so I'm going to put this at 0 right here, okay, because we're starting off at minus 4. The temperature was minus 30, okay? So how far down did we go to get from negative 4 to negative 30? We dropped by 26 degrees. So it's minus 4, drop, minus 30, okay? So minus 4 plus 30 would give us 26 degrees that we dropped, right? Because we're going down. So we're counting the spaces basically between those two. Number 21. Dave's auto shop was $27.86 in the red. Okay, so that means that they are overdrawn by $2,786. They owed this much to their creditors. At the end of December, they were only $425 in the red. How much money did they make in the profit? Okay. I'm going to draw the number line like this again because I think up and down, you can do left to right, but I think up and down kind of makes more sense. If our bank account is at 0, it would be here, and we're overdrawn by minus 20.86. There's still 425 below, so a minus 425. So we need to know the distance or the difference between these two. Okay, so how much positive did they add to that in order to get up to minus 425? Okay, so 2786 minus 425. I'm going to think of it as positive for a minute. I think you'll see that makes sense. 2786 minus 425 is 2361. So let's think about this. If they were at negative 2786, they added on 2361. Okay, I'm going to use my calculator. 2786 minus 425 is 2361. So 2786 and 2361 is 425. And we're still in the hole, 425, but we had to go up we had to deposit 2361 in order to get up to, still in the hole, a negative 425. Number 22, the peak-to-peak voltage of an AC circuit is found by subtracting the negative peak. Here's your negative peak down here. That's a little thing right there. From the positive peak, that's right here. That's right here. Calculate the peak-to-peak voltage in the diagram. So look at what it says. It says subtract the negative peak from the positive. So 210 minus negative 210. And what happens is the negative and the negative make a positive. 210 plus 210 is 420 volts. So in other words, we had to go up 210 here and up 210 more. So that's a total of 410. 420. I'm sorry, 420. Number 23. The telescope has a sun shield that protects the telescope by dissipating heat. The temperature on the light side of the telescope is 187 degrees Fahrenheit, while on the dark side it's minus 388 Fahrenheit. Find the difference, that means subtract, in the temperature between the two sides. So we've got 187 minus negative 388. So the difference between those two is 187 plus 388. And so I do 187 plus 388. And I get 575. So remember, we've got way up here at positive 187, and then way down here at negative 388. So we end up, to find this distance, we got to do 187 minus the 388. So technically what we're doing is we're adding, right? So it's a difference of 575 degrees. Number 24, to convert 28 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius, it is necessary to perform the calculation shown below. What is the Celsius equivalent of 28 degrees Fahrenheit? So they give us a formula, and they say Celsius is 5/9, fraction 5/9 times F minus 32. Well, for us, we have to put the 28, so they gave us 28. We put the 28 in there, and so what we have to do is 5/9 times 28 minus 32. I'll do that in my calculator, but that's going to be a negative 4. That's going to give me a negative 20 over 9, and they want a simplified fraction, and that is a simplified fraction, okay? Probably we wouldn't leave it like that. We would probably want to do negative 20 divided by 9, which is about a minus 2.22 if we were, talking about what the temperature is. It's about minus 2, but they wanted a simplified fraction, which is negative 20 over 9. Number 25. An airplane descends from 38,000 feet to 14,000 feet in 8 minutes. Express its rate of change in altitude in feet per minute as a signed number. Okay, so think about what we got here. Here's our airplane. It's flying up here, right? And it's up at 38,000 feet. All of a sudden, it drops and gets down to 14,000 feet. So it has dropped 38,000 minus 14,000. It dropped 24,000 feet. So it's minus 24,000 in 8 minutes. But they want to know per 1 minute. So if we reduce this fraction, minus 3,000 over 1, because if you divide 24,000 by 8, you get minus 3,000. So that's a drop of 3,000 feet every minute. So the first minute they went down 3,000, and then they went down 3,000, and they kept going down, and they kept going down. And in 8 minutes, by dropping 3,000 at a time, they ended up at 14,000.